Today our focus is on 8.4 and more multiplication properties of exponents. So we're going to deal with not only the exponent properties we had the other day, but we're going to expound on that a little more and see what we can follow and solve. So in the first of our problems, really our focus is dealing with a power to a power. So in this, when they're talking about a power to a power, they're saying that there's an exponent that's actually on the outside, influencing some kind of exponent on the inside. And really the shortcut method is to take these two and multiply them together. Now, we do have to be careful if there's multiple things inside of the parentheses. So in this kind of a case, I have two numbers that are influenced here. We said the shortcut was multiplying. Our base of 5 stays there. And now our exponent becomes 8, because 4 times 2. Now remember, in order to solve these, you have to actually put it in your calculator and actually solve it out. So if I put 5 to the 8th in my calculator, it would be 390,625. Now remember, for people to know what you're doing and actually solving, this kind of stuff helps to show your work. And also, this X on top lets me remind me that I know that that has to be an 8 there and how I got it. That can be kind of a problem later on when you know you're trying to solve and you're like, how the heck did I do that? So on this problem, my two exponents here that I'm going to have to deal with are the 2 and the 5. My base of X stays the same, and then 2 times 5 is going to be 10. Now this one has nothing else to actually solve, so that's the end of that problem. Now the other sort of problem that we see is when we have multiple things inside of these. So first of all, on number 3, there's no exponent for the 5, so I'm going to add an exponent of 1. Now I do need to remember in this case that this 4 is going to influence not only the 1, but the 2 here. So first of all, my bases are 5 and x, and I'm actually going to have to multiply both of the exponents inside of here by 4. So 4 times 1 is 4, and 4 times 2 is 8. Now the only part that still has any solving of any kind here would be this part. So if I did 5 to the 4th, that ends up being 625, and then I have x to the 8th. And that's my final answer. Now a lot of people forget to do that 1 with any numbers or letters in there that don't have exponents. That's really important. Now I'm going to add a 1 here down on number 4 because 3 does not have an exponent. And this is one where I have to go through, and that 4 is going to deal with both the 1 and the 6 that's there. So my bases are going to be 3 and n. And 4 times 1 will be 4. And 4 times 6 will be 24. So the only part really that I have to go through and put in my calculator is this 3 to the 4th, which would be 81, and then my n to the 24th. Okay, now the next problem on number 5 is actually going to take what we did in the last section with 8.3 and this section 8.4, and we're going to kind of put them together and meld them together. So first of all, in both of these problems they have bases of x. So when we're done solving this in a minute, we're still going to have two bases of x. But we are going to deal with kind of this piece here and this piece here. So in this one, 5 times 2 would be 10. 2 times 3 would be 6. So I've now made this at least a little simpler. That's all about 8.4 right there, what we did. Now, in order to be able to combine these two, I have to take my x and actually add those exponents together. So 10 plus 6 would give me 16, and this would be my final answer. So some of these are going to require the skills that you already mastered from 8.3 to kind of influence what you're doing with 8.4. Okay, let's look at the next one. So in our next problem, our base in this one happens to be just an a. So that's going to be our base at the end. Then remember these two, we're going to have to multiply together. So 3 times 4 is going to be 12. And this is our final answer. That one's pretty easy. Thank the Lord, right? Okay, let's look at the next one. So in this problem, we kind of have two things going on. We have this number that's out in front, and then we have this piece here. Now, I'm going to put my shade over this because really, if we deal with this part first, we can go back and do what's ever left underneath here. So in this one, that -2 is going to influence this. So my base stays b, and -2 times 3 is going to be -6. Now, let's pull this back a little bit and bring our b squared down. And now we're going to deal with this part. So first of all, matching bases, so our answer is going to be b. 2 plus -6 is going to be -4. Remember how we said we got to be on the lookout for those negative exponents. Here's an example of one right now. So if I have this and put this over 1, this really wants to be down here. So that's going to be b to the +4 when it moves to the bottom. And this is going to be our final answer. You do have to remember, no negative exponents can be left at the end. So remember how we did that? Negative exponents are like negative people. They're never happy where they're at. That whole little change, that means if they're in the top, they want to be in the bottom. If they're in the bottom, they need to be in the top. So you do have to remember this piece, and that's really 8.1, you know, through and through. Okay, let's see if we can do one more maybe. Okay, in this next one, what I have inside is 4 times x to the 3rd. Now 4 does not have an exponent, so I'm going to add an exponent of 1 there. And I have 4 and x that are my bases. They're going to remain my bases, at least at the beginning. And I'm going to have to distribute this 2 to both of these exponents. So 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. Now the only thing we really have to calculate is this part out here. So 4 squared would be 4 times 4, which is 16. So 16 x to the 6th. And that's my final answer.